Knowing your detector and everything it'll do, like I discussed in part 2 of your detector and finding gold, or finding gold in your detector. I don't know which way it goes. I'm out in the field. Reading the manual is one thing, but there's so many resources out there now, like YouTube and books written by people that are really good with detectors. There's clubs you can join and talk to other people doing the same thing you are. And there's just a wealth of information out there. But the number one thing is, when you own a detector that has a lot of settings on it, don't let that intimidate you. Those settings are there so that you can work any type of ground that you come across. That's a big deal, okay? Knowing what those settings do isn't as easy as reading the manual. And I always recommend that folks get over a target, and the first instinct's to dig that target. I know. But instead of digging that target right away, monkey with your settings a little bit. Turn things up and down. Learn exactly what your gain or your sensitivity will do. Learn exactly what the threshold will do. Try to hear the target better. So you're in an area you're hunting along, you hear a faint target. Those are perfect to test with. So now what you do is you start monkeying with those settings a little bit from what you've learned on the book and watching YouTube or on the internet, and see if you can make the target louder or softer. Seriously. Okay, so if you can make that target come in more clear and crisp, you've just gained a little bit of depth and some sensitivity to the settings you had previously, as long as the machine remains stable. And once you start doing this, and even things like the tone and the pitch on some of the higher end units, people don't understand what those settings are, and you wouldn't believe how many people actually just hunt in factory presets. And then they don't understand why they're not finding gold that other people are showing and finding. They're in the same areas and whatnot. I mean, even a blind pig finds corn sometimes, right? So if you're not finding anything and you're having a lot of trouble with the ground, it's the settings. By practicing with those settings, you learn those settings, and you can tell then, going up a wash or up the side of a hill, suddenly your machine starts functioning a little erratically or not sounding quite like it did a minute ago. You already know what it's going to be, okay? And you make a few adjustments, ground balance again, and off you go hunting again. And the more often you do this, especially in new ground, the quicker you're going to learn to understand your machine. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there that have been hunting for years understand your machines, and I'm kind of talking to some of the newer folks here, because again, it surprises me how many people do not know what each function will do on their metal detector. And some of these guys are swinging $5,000–$6,000 and more detectors, and they haven't taken the time to learn what the heck it really does and what are the best settings for each area. And I'm going to tell you right now, even in Arizona, I hunt this area right here. I'm in a wash, pretty little area, and I'm hunting with the Gold Monster today, so I don't have a lot of settings to worry about. That's a good machine for just getting out and hunting. You get the sensitivity set up on it and the volume, and get a ground balance, and you're ready to go. But my GPX and my GP and my GPZ 7000, totally different ball game. I can set everything on that machine from tone to pitch to volume, 3 different volumes. I mean, it's just unreal what I can do with that machine to make the ground work for me. Yes, make the ground work for me. All we're really trying to do out there is make the ground invisible. Sounds easy enough, doesn't it? But the problem with that is we can get the majority of the ground invisible, but we can't get it invisible evenly in many places because of the hot rocks. The rocks, cold rocks. Cold rocks are minerals or rocks that don't have as much iron as the matrix you're balanced to in most cases, and vice versa on the hot rocks. They got more. And no matter what we do, we're going to run into them. But if you learn to adjust your machine properly, you're going to hear less of them. The ground's going to be quiet, and you're going to be able to hear targets through that ground. And mess with your machine. Learn your machine. Understand what your machine does. And I don't mean to try to be lecturing anybody or any of that. I want to see all you folks out there find gold like I do. Well, not today, because I haven't found one yet. But I will before the day's out. I'm pretty confident of that. And what gives me that confidence is I've been to this wash before. No matter if it's hammered, I've got my machine set up as hot as I can run it in here and run it stable. And I plan on getting over a Nugget because it rained pretty hard here for a few days and it moved a lot of material in this wash. So there's a pretty good chance of getting lucky here today. I just don't know how to put it through to folks, and because I hear a lot of frustrated people. Man, I watch people spend thousands of dollars on metal detectors. And after about a month and a half, 2 months, you see them selling that thing for half of what they paid for it. They never got a chance to know what the machine was capable of doing. And a lot of this boils down to simply if you're going to buy a high-end unit or a machine with a lot of settings or adjustments on it, especially gold machines because they're a little more complex as far as being able to adjust for ground noise, etc. Buy from somebody that'll train you. Real simple. There's thousands of dealers out there. You don't have to buy from any one dealer. You can call around and say, hey, you're going to train me if I come to Arizona, or hey, if I come to California, you're going to give me some training on this machine I'm going to buy from you. And if they say no, go to the next one. It's just not worth it. Even if you're only going to be able to get help on the phone or over the internet, if you've got a dealer that is using the machine that you plan to buy and he's willing to help train you no matter how it is, over the phone or taking you out, if you can get to his area, go for that person. That's where you want to buy. Okay? And it's up to you after that to learn the machine. But if you get training, the cool part is you get a hands-on and learn what each one of those settings does. You may not have it mastered and be able to do it yourself yet. But once you get out, like I suggested earlier, you start getting over a faint target. Don't dig. Okay? Don't dig. Don't dig. Sit there and adjust your machine. Turn the gain up and down. Mess with the ground balance. Mess with the tone. That's another thing a lot of people don't understand is the tone. A big part of your machine and being able to hear targets properly is the tone. My ears ring. I got tinnitus. They ring all the time unless I have my headphones on. And the ringing changes up, down, all around. When I put the headphones on, it seems to disappear for some reason. Maybe because I'm concentrating harder and I don't have to hear the sounds around me. I'm not quite sure why it is, but when I'm inside those headphones, it takes some of that tinnitus away. But I have to have my tone a little bit lower. Okay? And by doing that, I'm able to hear targets clearer because my high-end hearing is pretty much shot. And there's no fixing that. But if you have a machine with tone adjustment, you can make adjustments on that machine to allow you to hear better. And to adjust the tone, once you have your other settings set up, your volume set properly, simply turn the threshold up so you can hear it clearly, and turn that machine's tone all the way down and slowly go all the way to the top. You'll hear a point in there where you think the machine gets louder. So you turn it back down till you get to that point again and you stop. But guess what? You can't make the machine louder with the tone. All you're doing with the tone is zeroing it in so you hear it better. So it sounds like the machine got louder to you, but it didn't. You simply have that setting now adjusted to where it's perfect for you. And you can leave that one there. That's pretty important too. So again, all the settings on your machine. And we're talking about all machines. I'm not talking about any one machine here. If you have a lot of settings and a lot of adjustments, and the company's pretty proud of that stuff they put on those machines, and they'll tell you that this machine will do this and that, well, maybe it won't if you don't have it adjusted right. And that can be the difference between having a good experience with metal detecting, especially for gold nuggets, or having a really bad experience and giving up right away. And we're going to nugget shooter out on this one. We're going to call this part 3 of gold, or finding gold, or I'm brain dead, I'm hot and sweaty. But it's going to be part 3 of the recent series that I'm doing. So we'll call that a little blooper. I'm going to work my way up this wash, and I'm putting together a second video today that's going to have what I find or don't find today. So again, settings. Learn your machine. Learn all the settings on that machine. I'm going to drill this into your people's heads as much as I can. If you get mad, yeah, quit watching, I guess. I don't know. I'm basically doing what I do when I take somebody out in the field after they buy a machine, or somebody that comes to me for help with a detector they don't understand. I'm drilling it into you so you understand that this just isn't as easy as turning that darn machine on and going, especially with gold machines. You've got to learn the settings, learn what they do, and hunt. And you're going to find, by spending a little bit of time in doing that, my friends, you're going to become successful. You're going to go, hey, this is fun. Instead of getting out of your car and already expecting to get skunked that day. That's no good, man. 9 times out of 10, if you think you're not going to find nothing, you're not going to. So anyway, I'm going to get off my butt here and go out and find a nugget. So, till next time, nugget shooter out.